What is up, YouTube? Pro back at it again with another deck profile. Today I'll be bringing you Shadow Paladins. But before we even get started in that, just want to make sure that the viewers out there, hope you all are doing okay out there in this time and day and age. I know a lot of crazy things going out there in the world. Just want to make sure that you guys are being safe, taking care of yourself, practicing, of course, social distancing. Without further ado, let's get started in that video. Alright guys, today I will be bringing you my Mordred deck profile. I will be putting out a Cleric Sword Room pretty soon as well. That was kind of simple, but again, today we'll be bringing you Mordred. For starters, we'll start with full bow. Generic, just draw one. I'm going to get started with the grade zeros first. So in my lineup, I run 7 crit triggers. Different artworks, just because you can throw your opponent off, so that way some people think, oh, this person may be running 12 crits or 9 crits, just to throw your opponent off. Next, we have 4 draw trigger PGs and 1 generic draw trigger. I like the generic draw just because draw power is OP. Hitting a defensive trigger on your opponent's turn, especially a draw trigger, you +1 on your opponent's turn is broken. And last but not least, 4 heal triggers. Kind of want to run them, just a little bit. Alright, next we'll get started with the grade 1s. Now, in this deck, you do have quite a few flex slots. This is my personal tech choices and the ratios I like to run. I run 4 Bronwyn. This card is optional. You can run it at 3 or you can run it at 4. I personally like it at 4 because deck thinning is deck winning. If you want to, you can obviously take this out and you can run the card that helps you, that restands with Whip Blaster Dark. Okay, player's choice. I run 3 Masquerade. At one point in time, I was running this at 2 of because I ran the other grade 3, the common from the new set, that's similar to him. But except he counterblast 2, kill 2 of your units. You would just kill like the dead sword breakers and the mains on your board and call it a dark. But if my darks end up dying via either retire or me calling over them, I want to have ways or more ways to sit there and get my Blaster Dark and recur them from the drop zone. Next, we run the 5k package, which will be for the mains. 2 Swordbreaker. Now, as I stated earlier, you have the package where you can sit there, you can cut out the 1 Bronwyn if you want to, add in another Swordbreaker. I think 2 Swordbreaker is fine because the deck has a ton of draw power. Plus, also the deck just tutors out itself as a lot of cards that sits there and searches out cards such as the grade 3 the grade 2 Masquerade. And last but not least, you have Mordred. I think I pronounced that name right. It restands with Dark. So, cool thing about this card is that, like in the early game, if you decide you want to commit a Dark, or even on your Mordred turns, once you commit your Dark, during your next stand phase, when you stand this unit, as long as Dark stands with it during the stand phase, or even with Mordred skill, you can do the Soul Blast 1 and give it 15k power. So you can essentially proc this card twice, making it a 35k booster if you want to. This card as well, you can run it in at 2 of. I like 1 personally. I never really had an issue. If I damage it, it just goes to damage. It is what it is. Next, I'm going to run into the grade 2s. I know a lot of people cut this out of their deck, but I still like Eagle. After further testing against like the Bermuda matchup, and any deck that has regards that swing really high outside of Norikami, because obviously they just end up buying the card anyway during mid-battle or before battle, it just helps alleviate some of that pressure. So that way, if you need to hard guard the Vanguard, if you need to PG the Vanguard, you'll be able to do so without having to worry about the big regards swinging with Force 2 or, you know, any deck that's swinging like ridiculously big numbers on the regard columns. This just helps you alleviate some of that pressure. And also it's part of that 5k package as well for the main. Next, run 2 Morian Spear. This card was my replacement for a Maka. For the longest, we was running Maka because we kind of had to, just to help tutor and draw cards. This card I prefer because the Soul Blast cost is not heavy. The deck rarely uses Soul like that outside of the grade 1. If you discard a grade 1, it becomes a 20k attacker. If you discard anything that's not a grade 1, it becomes a 15k attacker. If you have it boosted with the main, it becomes 20k. So in the early game, this swings with magic numbers. And again, just to help you tutor out those cards so that we can get to your Darks, your Mordreds, your Masquerades, and your Danger Lunges as quickly as possible. Next, the standard package that you need 4 Masquerades. Everybody knows what it does. Searches out Mordred or Dark. Last but not least, the boy himself. 4 Blaster Darts. Yes, I know I'm actually missing the SP one. Owens, I'm coming for you. Joking. You have to run 4. Can I run less than 4 today? Pretty much revolves around Dark. Next, we'll move into the grade 3 lineup. The main boss unit of the deck. Your 4 Mordreds. This card is a necessity at 4. You cannot run no less than 4. You have to run 4. This card is amazing. In the early game, if you end up riding first against your opponent, if you're not going against like a bind heavy deck, again, such as Norikami, you can sit there, you can ride your Mordred first, you can commit a dark or 2, you can stack your force marks, depending upon how the game and the situation goes throughout your match. If you want to, like I said, you can ride this first, throw down 1 dark. If you're going against Norikami, you can throw a dark in the front row if you don't care about it getting bound. Normally you do. You can throw the dark behind your Vanguard, so that way you can stack 2 force markers on your Vanguard circle. So that way, later on during the game, you can just sit there, you stack your force markers on Vanguard, and then you end up riding into your danger lunge and just pushing your opponent, especially, again, if it's against Norikami. Any other matchup, you can ride Mordred, give the first force marker to Vanguard circle, and then you can commit a dark, put it on the Vanguard circle where the dark is, and you just start smashing at your opponent's face, so that way you can put them in high damage in the early game, especially if you high roll. If you low roll, that's perfectly fine as well. His skill of proc to restand the dark. Now, this is where the deck kind of differentiate. Can't talk. Kind of settles in from my point of view. I like running 3 danger lunges and then 1 back deck. A lot of people are either cutting danger lunge to 2, running 2 of him, or they're either cutting him and running 1 Onyx. Personally, I don't think Onyx is necessary in this deck, because you're going to end up tutoring into your darks anyway. You have so many draw cards in your deck, so many ways to actually get into your Blaster Darks. You don't really need it. Again, the soul isn't much of an issue, but Danger Lunge is that alternative finisher to decks that have outs against Blaster Dark, because, again, as stated before, if you go against Norikami, 9 times out of 10, your darks aren't staying on board. You either have to commit and kill your opponent that specific turn, or they pretty much just win because you have no way to actually put pressure on them, especially if you're only running 1 or 2 danger lunges, because you damage check 1 and you have to try and hard draw into another one. I'd rather just have 3, so that way if I need to ride it on Vanguard circle, it's pretty much a waterfall. You can't block it with signals, and it just get really, really fat. Swings with a crit, and then it also recurs a grade 2 from your drop zone. So, and this card here, again, like I stated before, it's pretty much another Masquerade in a sense, where you can sit there and you can fetch the dark from the drop zone. So essentially I have 4 ways of getting dark. I have 3 of these and 1 of him. If you use him with dark, dark becomes 20k. He also gets 10k on his own. And if you you can put another force marker on the Vanguard circle, so you can either make this 33, or you can put the force marker on the dark column and then make him 30, depending on where your markers are settled, like later on during the game, depending on how your numbers look. But that pretty much concludes my deck profile.